The game followed by the Big Ten Championship game, Ohio State, Wisconsin. We bring in Claire Crawford from theozone.net. You got to jump online, go to the site, not right now, afterwards. Go to the site and look up her podcast with Joe Dexter. Oh, hell no. Claire, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing so well. The Buckeyes beat that team up north. I'm rolling towards a Big Ten championship game. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we can't let last week's game go. We typically do a preview more so than a review of the previous game, but it's the game. And 31-20 Ohio State after falling behind 14-0. Your impressions of the outcome, obviously good. Early on, not so good. Did you maintain the faith? How nervous were you?
I wasn't necessarily nervous because of the fact that we have seen this Ohio State team come back from a bigger margin than that. We saw specifically in the Penn State game them come back from an 18-point deficit. And it was something that in a rivalry game, I wouldn't say that there's not a part of me that was like, oh, okay, well, this feels like Iowa, because Ohio State's offense wasn't getting anything done in the first quarter. They had negative yards. Michigan defense looked very staunch. The Buckeyes didn't see anything out of Michigan, and us fans didn't see anything out of Michigan than we didn't see all year. We saw the same Michigan that we had expected, and the Buckeyes still weren't getting it done. So offensively, I was more curious to see how they would adjust to what Michigan was giving them.
Yeah, Claire, and you're not going to like me for saying this because I don't know how you feel about jinxes, but that team up north is going to win some year, whatever year that's going to be in. We'll let time fill in the blank, but they're going to win at some point. So being down 14-0, I think there were a number of stats passed on during the broadcast alluding to when has that type of deficit been overcome in this game. And it's been a long, long time, if ever, I believe, that Ohio State in particular has overcome this kind of deficit. And just the history that I think is a little overblown because in rivalry games, we have seen the lesser team upset the team that was playing for a championship or playing for a big bowl bid. And thus was the case this year. Of course, Michigan having a decent season, but out of the championship race, and Ohio State trying to still get to the college football playoff. Could have lost the game and still gone to the game in Indianapolis for the Big Ten, but out of the college football playoff. And just the history of the underdog winning, you would have to go back several years to dive into that history, but we certainly did last week. But that it's going to happen, because if you think about this streak in which Ohio State has lost just once since 2003, it's quite an astounding streak. On the surface, you would think, okay, it's a great streak, but Ohio State has been the more dominant program, and they have been, and Michigan's been down. That's a little overstated. Michigan's been down basically from about 2008 to a few years ago, and they actually did have a good Sugar Bowl season in there, the one year that they beat Luke Fickell in Ohio State in 2011. Otherwise, Michigan's not been great, but they've not been down that entire time. They've brought some really good teams, especially under Jim Harbaugh, to that game. And so to win all those consecutive times, Ohio State, that's an impressive streak against really anyone, but in particular, Michigan.
And I would say Michigan is very close to being from okay to much better under Brandon Peters. I think Brandon Peters is the future of that program. I think Jim Harbaugh knows that the quarterback piece has been missing. He's still, as much as I don't like admitting this, he's still recruiting well. He's, still a respectable coach. And it's something that they have just a few small adjustments to make to be a very good football team in a very competitive East Division. So I don't think that they're far away from it. And I think that's why, I don't know, as Ohio State fans, we don't hear as many rumblings about that, because Michigan fans would never concede in front of an Ohio State fan that their coach might not be great. But there are not quite as many rumblings out there about Coach Harbaugh being on the hot seat. Beating your rival is extremely important to both schools. There are bonuses involved for doing such, and both teams have admitted to planning for this game all year long, that it's not just a 1-week rivalry. So I definitely think that there's quite a bit of importance on it. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately for Buckeye fans, but Jim Harbaugh is now 1-4 against his rivals, and it's 1-5. I corrected myself, and I didn't need
6
to.
years, 6 games.
6 years.
Or 3 years, 6 games. 3 years, 6 games. Yes.
Thank you. So, it's difficult to say, oh, he's on the hot seat, but he's still making improvements year after year, and I think Brandon Peters is going to be the thing that gets them over that hump.